thank you all for choosing to be at this conversation here today. I think this will be really an incredibly important conversation, like mentioned, because students are at the forefront of blockchain technology. We are exploring the space, experiencing the market's needs firsthand, and bringing innovation, entrepreneurship, and development to Web3. I really don't think it's a stretch to say that students are the forthcoming architects, creators, and makers of Web3, yet many students nationwide lack the institutional support they need to grow their community on campus, let alone build, research, and work on their passions. So with our time here today, our goal is to give you an overview of the atmosphere of Web3 on campus, from blockchain clubs and student-led initiatives to research opportunities and career support. We'll delve into the recruiting scene with a point of view from both sides of the market. And ultimately, we want to leave you with actionable next steps in ways to interact with, benefit from, and employ the future builders of Web3. And we want to leave the students with meaningful ways to be on the receiving end of all of this. So for brief introductions, my name is Jake Levy, and I am the founder of Spawn, Students Passionate About Web3 Network. Spawn aims to bridge the gap between students and companies and industry leaders in Web3. We equip companies with sought-after student talent and exposure on campus while architecting a collaborative and rewarding environment for our students through our 3-month fellowship experience. Ultimately, the end goal is to solve the disconnect between education, entrepreneurship, and employment in Web3, while giving students the professional network connections that can take their career to the next level. We have partnered with Circle to sponsor our first cohort here. Go first cohort. And if you want to meet some of the top minds in blockchain globally, look out for Spawn Fellows. I'm also the vice president of the Texas Blockchain Club, a student-run organization bringing general financial and engineering education and community to the students at the University of Texas at Austin. So enough about me. I'd love to start off this conversation just with brief introductions, starting off with a fellow from the very first Spawn cohort, Matt Crack.
Thanks, Jake. My name's Matt Crack. I'm the head of business development for blockchain at San Diego, UC San Diego's Blockchain Club, and I'm also the head of developer relations for Chainstack in terms of the Polygon ecosystem. So very happy to be here and give my 2 cents about how education can be improved on campus. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brianna Pickett. I'm a junior advertising major, business minor attending Howard University, and I am from Chicago, Illinois. On campus at Howard University, I'm the vice president of marketing for Alpha Kappa Psi Professional Business Fraternity Psi Tau chapter, and I'm also the founder and CEO of my own graphics business, Lachey Graphics, where I do flyers, logos, and really anything related to graphics. Outside of campus, I've self-educated myself on the foreign exchange market back in 2020. So I'm an intraday swing trader in that market. And this past summer, I was a wealth management intern at Mesero Financial, where I learned about equity research and so much more. I'm very excited to be at this conference just to learn more about crypto, since I don't really have exposure to that on campus or really just anywhere. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Jake.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to your day. My name's Matthew Wiggins. I'm originally from Northern Virginia. I'm a strategic communications major at Howard with a focus in advertising. And honestly, I really don't have much of a background with cryptocurrency, with Web3, or blockchain in general, but I'm here because I'm interested in it. I want to immerse myself in it, and I want to be able to bring more of a business side and business perspective to it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Maya Denzel, and I'm a PhD student at UC Santa Barbara, and I research the intersection of Web3 and climate change. I focus on the emerging refi movement, and I'm doing ethnographic work of projects and Web3 organizations that somehow in different forms promote climate action by carbon credits, tokenizing natural resources. I'm also formerly VP of Marketing at Blockchain at UCSB, and I'm currently an Impact Fellow at Blockchain Acceleration Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization, also student-run, that focuses on the spread of blockchain adoption, education, and more student involvement.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Tim Wing. I'm the Senior Talent Acquisition Marketing Specialist here at Circle. Previously, before that, I was a recruiter on the team, so talent acquisition partner, helping to hire for software engineers anywhere from right out of school, so students like yourselves, all the way up to senior and above beyond that. Previously, I'd worked in marketing and advertising. Also, in addition to that, worked in agency recruiting, and I graduated from the University of Richmond down in Virginia back in 2019 with an interest in entrepreneurship as well as marketing and psychology.
All right. Love the energy here today. Great introductions, but let's get into the good stuff. So like I mentioned, I want to structure the first portion of this discussion around the current landscape of Web3 at universities. So I want to help everyone understand the blockchain environment, opportunities for students on campus, the absence of institutional support, and how student-led initiatives provide the programs, education, and community that this generation of innovators truly need. So Matt, for those who may be unfamiliar, can you explain the goal of student-run blockchain clubs and initiatives on campus?
Sure. So let's get a little bit into the problem space at the moment with just university Web3 education. I think one of the major pain points we're trying to solve is that there just aren't a lot of available Web3 related course material on campuses across the nation except for a few select schools. And for us in the blockchain clubs and a lot of the Web3 space, our main goal right now is trying to provide those educational services to get students not only educated, but also provide jobs and other institutional support in the long run for the future growth of the industry.
That's very awesome. And can you touch, or can anyone feel free to touch on how people with different backgrounds and majors can begin thinking about Web3 and applying it to their domain? Maybe because, Brianna or Matt, because you're coming from different backgrounds, how do you look to apply Web3 with your expertise or current background?
Well, I think that just understanding Web3 and crypto overall is very important because Web3 and crypto is just something that anyone should invest in, and if you don't have the knowledge or the insight about crypto overall, it makes it difficult to even step into that space. So I think it's really just about gaining the resources and getting in contact with people who know about crypto so that we're able to properly invest and properly gain just money overall in crypto. Yeah.
So what I would have to say about that is that Web3 and blockchain, I feel like, is very based in community. So if you did want to advance yourself in that area, I would recommend tapping into the interest of your community and really just understanding how to network with them before you even begin to immerse yourself in knowledge such as like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency.
And if I can jump to like your initial question about the role of university clubs, what Matt started off with, I think another important role of clubs that focus on Web3 at universities, right? Because we lack courses, we lack kind of professor support in that area, these clubs serve as this initial entry into the space and kind of a discovery point for students because they just don't have anywhere else to go. So they go to their local university club to even tap into what Web3 is. So I think this like initial discovery function of university clubs is very important.
Completely agree, and you kind of touched on the community aspect of the importance of blockchain clubs. And for my personal experience as a student instructor for the only blockchain course for undergraduates at UT Austin, and through my working with all the different blockchain club leaders at Spawn, traditional academia seems to lack the crucial support that students in Web3 need. So again, Maya, as a PhD student, you talked about the community aspect, but can you walk me through the career, work, and research opportunities you see on campus and why you think it's like that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, The short answer, it's pretty tough to be a grad student in the Web3 space currently, just because of the lack of some of the institutional support, right? If we don't have university level courses, and we also don't have a lot of professors who actually understand the industry, right, to be able to support more graduate level research. I think another issue that I personally faced myself, especially early on, is the image issue of crypto. And it's sad, but we still have to think about this. I remember when I first came up to my then advisor and said, well, I'm interested in application of Web3 and connecting it to climate change. The initial responses I was getting was, what? You want to study Bitcoin? Isn't that like a Ponzi scheme? And so the basic lack of understanding, this kind of huge knowledge gap is still a big issue for both students and professors. So that's probably the hardest thing that I kind of constantly have to, face and prove and show that no, there's actually, there's more to it than just the bad rap, right? That we all hear because we believe in certain features of this technology that can provide. So, and I think I would say another challenge on the grad student level is also kind of lack of intellectual community. And we kind of, I always love meeting some fellow grad students who focus on blockchain, but they're very few, and it's so hard to find them because there's almost no space for them to meet. So that's why I think it's so important to foster some of these university clubs, communities, more, in-person gathering events like this conference to promote more of this conversation, for people to even discover that there are people. We just need to come together.
Right. Honestly, adding on to that too, I think that one of the biggest issues, like you were saying, Maya, is that on campus, there are so few students that are directly involved with Web3 at the moment that having opportunities like Spawn, like conferences like this, where students from around the country or the world can get together and actually not only hold intelligent conversations about the future of the industry, but then leverage those connections together, that's huge. And that's something that we really are trying to focus on, I think, especially with this panel.
And without reiterating everything you guys just said, I think on a general basis, people go to school and people get a formal education so that they can develop their critical thinking skills, they can explore new opportunities, especially pertaining to technology like blockchain. Opening this up to anyone, do you think school is really fostering critical thinking when it comes to blockchain? Do you think traditional education is opening you up to exploring these opportunities?
I think I can start off with this. I currently am a graduate from Learn Web3 DAO, so they're a decentralized learning platform for students, highly recommend, also in Code Club. In comparison, I've had experience at UCSD's campus, and they're a very huge computer science-based school, but we've actually been laughed out of the room by some of the data science and some of the computer engineering professors because, again, like Maya was saying, it's not an industry that's traditionally looked at favorably. So I think that's kind of, allowed this niche for these independent orgs like Spawn and Code Club or other organizations to take that value gap. But I think that's a conversation that needs to be had with these institutional companies coming onto campuses, really vouching for the clubs that are there and providing those opportunities to students because, as you guys can see over the last 3 days, this industry is huge, it's moving, and we need more talented people getting involved.
Yeah, and I think what's been really great to see is this space is really embracing innovation, right, across the board. But I think universities, their definition of innovation doesn't align with maybe what our definition of innovation is within the crypto Web3 space. And I think that's the next stage for these universities is understanding that there's more that they can embrace when it comes to innovation than beyond what's traditional, right? There's more to embrace than let's start a business, let's open a product, right? That's innovation within itself. That's entrepreneurship within itself. But there's more spaces, more industries like crypto and Web3 that I think these universities need to understand. And I think that's where, like you said, the responsibility of Circle, the responsibility of other organizations within the space is helping to reach out to these universities and through these student groups to let them understand there's a lot of bright minds in the space that are young and hungry and excited. And I think the universities can just open that up a little bit more and say, we're open to that. we're open to hearing you out and understanding what this industry is, because there is a lot of misinformation out there that I think a lot of these university stakeholders take in, right? And I think there's ways that we can flip the script.
And just jumping on that last point, also, I don't want to, villainize universities because they are still important spaces of learning. I do agree that, as legacy institutions, like we like to say in Web3, right? Universities do tend to be quite slow. So that's why it's crucial to have this collaboration between the industry and universities. And I think another challenge that universities face is lack of resources. And I think it's like this vicious cycle, right? There is not really, there are no professors who truly understand the space. There is lack of resources, and therefore there's lack of research. So if we invest more in research support, maybe we'll get more research outcomes out of it, and that hopefully will help with that kind of like bad image of crypto, right? Because the more research on the academic level we see, the more it validates and normalizes the idea that blockchain is the discipline that deserves and needs academic attention.
Right. And I think we're starting to see that trickle down a little bit more too on the professor level. There are professors on campuses that are taking note of Web3 and incorporating it into their various classes. But I do think that one of the things that could really be beneficial to the space overall is getting more students advocating for courses on campus, and then combining that with information from companies like Circle or other big names in the industry, really giving the institutional support that we need.
I think you all said that perfectly, and just giving my own point of view from being the VP of Texas Blockchain and the TA for the blockchain course at UT, right now the undergraduate blockchain course is not even planned to run next semester because we can't find a PhD who will back and be the professor for the course. So undergraduates will really have no option at that point. Our class was waitlisted last semester. We had over 70 students sign up, and there were students who couldn't even get in. And now next semester, it may not even run. That's on the educational side. But with the blockchain club side, there are so many challenges, risks, hurdles, and hoops we have to jump through that traditional clubs, traditional engineering and finance clubs, just don't see. They don't have those kind of problems, whether it's getting faculty support, raising money, doing off-campus, on-campus events. These are problems that traditional clubs really don't have issues with, and that ties into the lack of professors on campus who can support us. So that's just my point of view from Texas Blockchain. And like Maya said, we definitely don't mean to villainize education, but there's such a long way to go in traditional education, and that's hopefully what we can bring awareness to here today. But moving a little bit away from academia and focusing a little more on company interaction with students, many Web3 companies know the incredible resource a blockchain club can be and try very hard to work with them. So Tim, what are some ways, aside from recruitment for now, Circle has worked with blockchain clubs in the past, and what have you taken away from these kind of experiences?
Yeah, I think this has been a new thing for us as well. I think even companies in the Web3 space have embraced that more recently, just because we're seeing the bright minds that are coming out of these types of organizations, and it's clear with our association with Spawn that that's going to be something that's fostered here in the future. Ultimately, in association with that, the more things that we can do in relation to hackathons, things like that, we've been able to run those and get student clubs and organizations and even individuals who are running companies, right? There are plenty of bright young students who are starting companies on their own as founders, co-founders. And it's been cool to see, even at these events, coming up to us and saying, hey, I was a part of your hackathon. I was there, I came second place, first place, or I just was able to participate, and that really helped me learn a lot. And so I think that's what we can do at Circle, is really embrace the fact that students are learning. This space is new for everybody, and so we want to find new ways to enhance that for these students. I think one of the things that's coming out and that's announced is Circle U. Circle U has been awesome, to be able to participate that myself and understand how we can embrace crypto literacy and then spread that onto the universities and partner with clubs and organizations to spread that out, right? There's a lot of knowledge basis that comes with working at Circle. It's been amazing to be a part of that. But I think what we can do and our responsibility can be is to push that to those who may even not be at Circle, right? To enhance the knowledge basis in the space and try to eliminate that misinformation with stuff that's real and that students can latch onto and say, whether that's working at Circle or not, I am embracing the Web3 space, the crypto space, and I'm excited about it.
I want to leave that open for others to answer or expand upon as well, but just touching on what you said, it's been incredible, and the experience has been invaluable in being able to work with companies like Circle, and that kind of is a result of not getting the traditional help from universities so that other clubs don't get that kind of experience in working with companies like Circle. So that's maybe a benefit of the traditional education not helping out students so much. But I want to open this up to anyone. How have companies worked with your clubs in the past? What have you found beneficial out of that?
Yeah, getting a little into that, I think going off of Tim's point about hackathons is huge. As a student myself, I got into Web3 10 months ago, and so the ability to not only participate in organizations that are helping provide education to students who are just learning, but then being able to participate in live builder sessions, being able to pitch real products. Things like that are huge for increasing the knowledge in the whole space and also give students a ton of confidence and I think the ability to move forward and say, hey, Web3 is a real career for me. So in terms of ways to partner with the clubs, I think the two best options we've seen lately are either organizations coming in and hosting real workshops with students, allowing them to get hands-on with the material that they're actually building with, and then two, providing real funding opportunities either through grants, hackathons, things of that nature. Those two have really been the best ways, I think, for us to scale upward because, again, when we're talking about blockchain clubs, we're not getting direct funding most of the time, especially when you're spinning up at your school. It's entirely a nonprofit effort at that point. And so I think putting a lot more emphasis on how can we get students traction when they're investing so much time and energy based solely on their passion for the industry, that's something that's huge for us.
I would say from my perspective, there isn't any Web3 clubs on my campus. So I would just say showing up, crypto companies just show up to campus and students are very eager to step into this space and really step into any area in finance. I know when Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan show up, we hear about it all over campus because we want these opportunities, especially in School of Business. There are tons of org fairs and career fairs that students go to and get opportunities and get internships because they want to be in this field and they want to gain as much exposure to finance overall. So the most important thing is just going on campus and announcing that you will be on campus this day. Even with Amazon, I partnered with them a couple weeks ago and I made their flyers because they were coming on campus and saying they had a career fair. So everyone has been going to the career fairs. I know there was one yesterday, and just because they are putting that out there that they're coming to campus, so many people are aware of it and they want to be a part of it. So just show up. That's the main thing. Just show up.
I completely agree with that last point. The number one thing I think a lot of members of Texas Blockchain value is having representatives from these companies be on campus, be at workshops, be at our general meetings, be at guest speakers, helping out with the hackathons. There's something we really value is having a dedicated team or dedicated member base at Texas Blockchain, where we would rather have 10 to 15 dedicated members showing up on a weekly basis than 60, 70 people showing up just to put it on the resume. And something that we've seen over the past year or so, at this time last year when the market was a little bit different, we had 100 people showing up to meetings. And you can kind of tell that those people were kind of just there riding the hype, there to put it on their resume. But this year, it's way different. We have 15 people, 20 people, 30 people showing up to all of our educational meetings, all of our socials, and you can tell they're much more engaged in the conversation. They've taken the last year to really learn, and they look forward to interacting with companies on campus through hackathons, guest speakers coming onto campus, and everything else we've talked about. But moving on to the recruiting environment on campus, I think it would be helpful to talk about how companies can compel students and take them from education to internship and employment. From my point of view, and I might be slightly biased here, but Spawn is an incredible means to interact with a lot of the different blockchain clubs, a lot of the different student leaders, student founders on campus, internationally, nationally and internationally. We are working with the teams at nearly 70 different blockchain clubs to help connect them with companies and industry leaders. But Spawn aside, Tim, has Circle looked into recruiting in the past, and if so, how have you gone about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've embraced recruiting for new graduates quite often. I mean, it started, I think for a lot of companies, it starts at the developer level, right? Those who are interested in building and being a part of that in the Web3 and crypto space. We've been actively recruiting new grads. Plug, they're open. We have posts open, which is awesome. And what we've seen with that actually is even in just the developer ecosystem, and I'll move on from that in addition, beyond that, the number of people who are interested has grown significantly. It's been really cool to see those who come in, but not only that, the conversations that we as recruiters have with those who are interested and apply and come into the process is much more informed. You know, I've been at Circle now for just over a year and a half. And starting from last year, you know, there's a lot of people who are interested back then, but they just had a lot of general questions. Now we're getting questions that are much more specific. We're getting and seeing students who are really excited and learning about Circle, but also have a little bit more of a knowledge base within the Web3 and crypto space, but that's mainly just on their own. They've been embracing that education on their own and learning about it, which is great. And I think, like we've mentioned, I think if we can continue to grow that, then we as recruiters can have really awesome and meaningful conversations with those who are interested in the space. And that just enhances the quality of those conversations and those who are coming into the field. But beyond that, you know, I think companies start with the developer side, but more and more we're seeing opportunities open up for internships as well as full-time opportunities beyond just software engineering positions and beyond technical positions. And that's really just because I think what Circle is seeing and what we're able to understand is there are so many leaders on the business side, on those who might be interested in security or policy, who are excited about the space, and especially with regulation incoming and things like that, more people are paying attention. And so I think the responsibility of companies going forward is to say, hey, beyond just developers, beyond software engineers, how can we bring students into the fold? I know we had some internships last year within strategy and policy and others where people have come out of it and they've been really excited and saying, hey, I just want to learn more about the space just from this opportunity. So I think that's the next step for us and what we're embracing. A lot of those opportunities will come out more on demand a little bit later, but that's where we are, and I think others in the space are embracing that too.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go.
I love hearing that. As being a social scientist, non-coder in the space,
Right.
I love to advocate for a more interdisciplinary approach to crypto and recognizing that it's important to build, obviously, that's the infrastructure, but it's also important to situate this technology within the socio-political environments that we live in, right? And like you mentioned, importance of policy, right? Understanding where Web3 falls in the current policy landscape, legal issues, right? Now we talk a lot about Web3 and climate, right? We need more climate scientists in the space who can actually understand and measure the impact, and sociologists, political scientists, right? And I think it would be really cool moving forward, kind of demystifying the space. And I feel like there could be this recruitment misalignment for some people who are interested in the space but who are not coders. They may feel a little bit like, oh, maybe we don't belong. Maybe they're only really looking for, tech people. So maybe expanding that call and maybe working directly with departments that are not traditionally seen as relevant to Web3, I think would be really cool. And maybe even through some sort of summer fellowship programs where students, can really learn and understand the interdisciplinary importance of studying crypto.
Right. I think adding to that too, on the developer front, there's so many education opportunities if you look for them that are available to developers trying to break into the space. But for myself, I have a business economics background. I don't touch computer science normally, so getting that information and being able to translate it into a job is really difficult. I think that what you're saying, Maya, is spot on, that we need a lot more broader organizations that are trying to bring in any discipline that it could be involved with crypto, whether that's from sales, marketing, research, etc. That's the main goal I think we need to have as an industry, thinking about how can we interconnect everybody involved in Web3 rather than focusing entirely on the development side.
I could not agree more, and I think that at Howard specifically, we look for internships because we don't really know what we want to gain out of a career. So it's really early to figure out like, oh, I want to go into crypto, and especially because no one really knows what crypto is, it's hard for, like, let's say Circle does come on campus and is looking for people to actually step into the field. We don't really know what we're getting into, so it's hard to say we want a career in crypto because we don't know. So introducing internship opportunities would be a great way to figure out what exactly is crypto and how can we be an asset to the industry. That is the most important thing. So internships and just showing up on campus, like I said previously, and just answering any questions that one may have is the most important thing, just so we can understand what the industry is and how we can be a part of it.
And staying on the recruitment topic there, Matt, I know you recently started a full-time job at ChainStack. Can you just briefly walk us through what it was like to be recruited as a student and how that process has been so far?
Yeah, I would love to. It was pretty crazy, I think, to me in general, just because I got involved in the space over the last 10 months. I think the main takeaway from getting hired at ChainStack is that the opportunities are out there, and if you put the time and effort in, you guys are more than qualified and able to get these positions. I think one of the beneficial things that a lot of industry partners helped us with was mainly pointing us in the right direction of leaders who were passionate about Web3 education, giving us opportunities to meet face-to-face with CEOs and other founders of companies who were in the same spot we were, and then really, giving that final push, introducing me to various connections in the space like ChainStack that were able to see the value that I could add to their company and recognize that, hey, everybody in this industry is learning from square one, so if you are willing to put the energy and time in, there are opportunities available to you.
Awesome. So I want to talk about maybe the benefits for the companies in working with these students, because we talked about all the benefits for the students and why the students should be working with these companies. But Matthew, what are the benefits for companies in regards to coming to campus, working with the next generation of innovators?
So there are a lot of benefits, but let me get you started with one thing. So there's an old proverb, and honestly, I'm pretty sure it's not a proverb, but it goes, each new generation brings a new perspective to old problems, right? So first of all, that means that these people that the company would be hiring, they're young. They haven't developed the same habits as older professionals. Their minds are more malleable. And on top of that, when you do hire an intern, that's pretty much an employee you're hiring at maybe a third of the cost. And then even on top of that, it's really good publicity to let the world know that you're investing in students' careers and futures, literally.
Completely agree. I mean, right now, Spawn is structured as a nonprofit, and we have partnered with Circle and a couple of other sponsors, and they do it because they want to get that good PR, honestly. I mean, obviously, it's valuable to access the young entrepreneurs at an early stage, having that access to early talent, but I think one of the main benefits is showing that you're supporting students, showing that you're supporting this next generation of builders in Web3. So we've talked about the current landscape of Web3 on campus, the upside and the pitfalls. And I want to leave everyone here with some actionable next steps in how you and your company can give students more opportunities and access to the industry. So I'm opening this up to Maya first. Would you like to give your thoughts on what companies can do right now to bring more value to, let's say, your club members or the club members in general and students on campus interested in Web3?
Sure. Well, I will speak on behalf of grad students, and I think the major hurdle all grad students are facing, and I know it's same old, but lack of funding is fundamentally the number one issue that stops further research. So I say number one, invest in more research. Let's normalize blockchain as a discipline that deserves this research. And another thing that I think needs to be done more is fostering spaces like this one, right? Giving more agency to students and creating this space of belonging. And hopefully when more students see, oh wow, there's some students on the panel, they'll think, I can be there too. And recognizing that it's not this, scary Web3 world, that you can actually participate and see people like you in it, opens more doors. And even having more academia present at conferences like this one, it really made me feel more like I belong when I saw some panels with professors from MIT speaking on this stage. And I think it's important for students to see that there are these role models that actually care, and hopefully that will create this more motivation for continuing studying Web3 as an academic discipline.
I think bringing students to these conferences is one of the most valuable things that companies can really do as well. Being able to meet professionals in person, sure, you can meet online. Those calls tend to be very transactional. When you meet online with students, not all companies have the greatest outlook on students. Some tend to look down. Thankfully, we partner with a great company like Circle, who has given students the opportunity to be on stage here. But bringing students in person to these conferences, we had so many events over the past couple of days, and there has been so many long-term relationships formed. You can just tell off the bat when they say, oh, you go to school in Texas, I live in Austin, let's meet up when we get back. Or we have an office in New York, if you ever need anything, let me know, and I'll let our colleagues, I'll get you in touch with our colleagues. But Matthew, I would love to hear your opinion on that as well. What do you think right now companies can do to better interact with students?
Honestly, I would say give students agency, like we were talking about before, because when somebody feels in control of what they're doing, they're more likely to organize their thoughts and follow a certain path. So if you were to, for example, set up interactive meetings when they come to campus, like a panel like this, or maybe just standing out at the Howard Yard, for example, and maybe just forming a little talk circle, but just something where the students know that they are able to freely communicate with each other and the company.
And I would also like to add ambassadorships. Like, there are tons of companies that provide ambassadorships, like Amazon, Meta, and because of that, even Samsung, one of my pledge brothers is actually an ambassador for Samsung. So he got the tablets and he got the shirts, and he has it's like, what am I trying to say? It's tabling events that he has to put on campus, and that gives exposure to Samsung, because not only is a Howard student bringing Samsung onto campus, but he has the information about what Samsung's mission is, and he understands the purpose of Samsung, so students can relate easily to the company. So just partnering with students and providing opportunities like ambassadorships would be a great way to just start that with crypto, because when students see other people like them in this space, it's easier for them to relate, and it makes them want to learn more about the industry overall. So that's a great way to start.
I think too, on the student front, one of the ways that really got me into the space and got me so passionate about it was going not only to conferences, but I think sometimes conferences can be a little difficult to fit in with a full-time student schedule, but also looking in your local communities. There are tons of organizations out there that are providing tons and tons of meetups, workshops, development events, things like that that are giving you opportunities to meet face-to-face with your local community, and that can honestly be a great way to scale upward too, and really connect more with the people that are in your back door.
And like Brianna said, even just giving students the opportunity to host social events as ambassadors, take X amount of money, throw a community event for everyone at your school, the people in your community. I think that's a great opportunity. But Tim, I want to hear your perspective on, or advice on how students can better interact with companies. What can they do to interact or work at a company like Circle?
Yeah, I think for those who are coming in early in career, I think some of the things that companies like Circle are looking for is this embracing of learning, right? This embracing of, I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. And that's okay, right? This is an opportunity to come in and learn a lot and push that. And that's why that partnership with Spawn is there, right? The opportunity to reach out and branch out and say, hey, let's reach out to these organizations and say, we are here for you to come in and learn, and that's why we've invited students here. That's why students are here to learn about the space beyond anything else, because we recognize that there's a future of crypto here, right? There's a future of crypto with these students who are coming on board. And I think one of the things that, that are most exciting for students who are interested, or even those early in career, and what they want to see from companies is an opportunity to learn when they're here, right? So that's the combination of the two, where what Circle is embracing is this idea of, regardless of if you end up working at Circle or not, there will be opportunities in the future for you to learn about the space through Circle U, through other initiatives. But even when you're here, right, we're looking for people who are very excited about the space to learn. And like Maya was saying, opening that up beyond just the traditional opportunities is going to be critical for us. I think our leaders recognize as well that there are some bright young minds who are excited about the space. Let's give them chances. That's the number one thing. Across a wide variety of different backgrounds, experiences, let's give them a shot. Show what they're good. Show what they're good at.
Give them a shot. I think that's a great way to end this off here today. So that is all the time we have here today, and I'm thrilled we were able to discuss all this, hopefully leave everyone with some actionable next steps in how to better interact with student-run clubs, initiatives, and students on campus as a whole. So thank you, Circle, for giving us this opportunity. For more information about Spawn, check out spawn.global, the website. And thank you all for coming out today.